Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your podcast show. It's myself here, Khalid, with you guys tonight. And we're going to be seeing, I've sent out the link to some of the guys to see who's going to be popping on and having a conversation with us tonight. There will be a couple of someone that will be late, that will be joining us a little later, but I thought I don't want to let you guys wait too long. So let's get a conversation in the live chat and see what you guys have come up with and what sort of questions you guys have. So welcome to the show. I hope you guys are good. I hope you had a great weekend. Um, I know I did. I had an excellent weekend from a personal perspective. Like I got an opportunity to watch Spider-Man, and I'm not going to be releasing any spoilers over here, so don't worry about that. I just recommend everybody that goes and watches it in the cinema if you can. If your cinemas are COVID compliant, etc., and all of the things are in place for you guys to be able to sit apart from each other, etc., and um, you know that you need to obviously take your sanitizers and your masks and everything and just be safe. But I do recommend you watch it in cinema. I'm a massive Marvel fan, massive Spider-Man fan, so obviously I'm going to recommend a movie like this. But yeah, I think that this is one of the good ones. If you've enjoyed the other ones, I think this is a good one. From a cricketing perspective, it's been quite quiet from a South African point of view, although there has been, of course, India that have arrived in South Africa, and that's something that is a positive for us because now we get to see that everybody's ready and getting geared up for that first test, the Boxing Day test, South Africa versus India. Very excited about that one. It's something that I always love to see. I think my first ever test that I covered as a journal was India versus South Africa. So it would be good to see this again, an opportunity to see South Africa get tested again by one of the good teams in the world when it comes to Test cricket. And I think India will probably test South Africa till the last game. So I don't think it's going to be a walkover from an India perspective. Some people might say so. I believe that it's going to be quite an evenly split match. I think that South Africa and both South Africa and India have an opportunity to really put on a proper show. India will be tested over here, obviously, in South African conditions. But I think that they have a good enough bowling attack to test South Africa's batters, especially a young batting lineup that India that South Africa have. Inexperience, you would say. Maybe not young by age, but inexperienced. And it will be interesting to see who South Africa line up with, whether Quinton de Kock will be available, um, and all of those type of things, so that we can obviously get a good contest. It will be interesting to see who replaces Quinton de Kock, whether it be Ryan Rickelton or whether it be Kyle Verreynne, if he does miss a couple of games, because there has been some talk about that maybe happening due to his personal circumstances. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with regards to that. I'm excited for the Test series. I'm excited for cricket in South Africa. There is quite a bit of cricket happening at the moment. Potchefstroom, there's the Kaya Majorda week, which unfortunately I wasn't be able to attend. There's also there's a under 19 girls week as well happening. So that's also something that is it's good for our young female cricketers. That's happening in Cape Town. Very difficult to attend as well. There's very strict protocols when it comes to COVID, and BSEs and everything. So biosecure environments, all of that. So it's going to be very tricky to go to events now, especially with COVID. And there are some cases that are rising in South Africa as well. So we need to be careful. This new strand and this new variant of the virus spreads faster than the older one. So we need to be really careful. We mustn't forget the basics, and that's sanitize and wear your masks, etc., etc. So I'm gonna interact with you guys until we see some of the guys pop up on the show. There are some guys that said they were running late, so I'm not sure if they are going to make it, but I'll keep you guys entertained until then. If you're happy to have me. Um, We do have a comment from Karen Walker. He has asked me, Khalid, who do you think should be a SA all-rounder with all three all-rounders impressing so far? Are you talking about Test cricket? I would like to know that. I think currently in Test cricket, if you're looking at obviously an all-rounder that I think needs to be given more opportunities is obviously Vian Mulder. I don't think Vian Mulder has been given an opportunity to show him his ability with the bat, or he's been given opportunities, but not necessarily taken them quite yet. I believe that Vian has the ability to be a good all rounder and be good with the bat as well. Because we've been seeing him. Thank you, Karen. We've been seeing him particularly with the ball, and he's been really good with the ball when it comes to Test cricket so far in the games that he's played. But I've always thought that his best quality was with the bat during school, during domestic cricket. It was always his batting that stood out to me until Otis Gibson came in as a coach and he mentioned Vian Mulder's bowling, and that's when things started changing for Vian. He has been trusted with the ball a lot more and less with the bat, and I don't think they've worked. Maybe he's been working on it, but domestically, I know, but at in the Test arena, we haven't really seen him come to the party quite yet. And I would love him to improve his batting because I see him as someone that can bat a little higher up. I see him. I see Vian going as high as 5 in the batting lineup in the future. That's what I'm hoping for him for the future because I really think that he's that talented that he could in the future bat there. But we also have got guys like Marco Jansen coming through that I think he can really put pressure on him because Marco has impressed with both bat and ball for SAA level and domestically. So you have to take that into consideration if you're looking for the next all rounder, and also his left armor. He's a left armor that's also very interesting. And then you've got a spinning all rounder as well, like George Linder, who I feel has showed him his ability by scoring centuries and good scores with the bat at domestic level, but hasn't really been given a proper opportunity to show what he's capable of with the bat. When I say I haven't been given a proper opportunity, I mean like coming into a situation when the pressure is not on him and putting some runs on the board. Yes, you want your players to be able to bat under pressure. Obviously, that's everybody wants that. They want to see guys perform under pressure. So automatically, you want to see how they perform when they put in that situations. So from when guys have been put in difficult situations, we haven't really seen guys step up necessarily from a all-rounders perspective quite yet with the bat. We've seen guys being put in pressure situations with the ball and they stood up and they've shown their performances, but with the bat, we haven't necessarily seen that quite yet. And I think this particular series against India is a massive series for some of the guys that are looking to cement their spots in that Proteas lineup. I think if the guys around, if the guys are not going to perform the way we expect them to perform, I think that at the moment where we are and where we are right now, I feel that South Africa will be in a very difficult position if guys don't put up their hand and they don't perform. So we really need to try and find the right combination of guys and stick to them and give them opportunities over a long run. So that's the only way I feel that South Africa will be able to build a team and for the long run. That's the only way I feel that will happen. Um, So yeah, so when it comes to all rounders and specifically all rounders, I would put those guys in the bracket. There are some guys domestically that I feel that maybe need to display a little bit longer in domestic scene before they get picked up. You know, before they get rushed into the South African team. I do feel that with Vian Mulder, we've put a lot of pressure on the young lad. We kind of pushed him into the team quite quickly. Like immediately out of school, he was already playing S under 19 and then straight to S under 19 domestic cricket and straight from domestic into Test arena or into in Proteas cricket. So we did work quite quickly when it came to Vian Mulder, and I think maybe some of the guys just need to mature a little bit, play a little bit domestic cricket before we start throwing them into to the Sharks and allowing them, before we allow them to grow and to be able to compete. Khalid, who do you think will be our star performer in SA versus India Test series? Um, I honestly do think that Markram's going to have a massive series. I just think that he's in a space himself where he does feel, I think, that he needs to put on performances, and I think that's a dangerous Markram to have in your team. One that's trying to still that feels that he still needs to prove himself. I think Aiden Markram is going to have a good tournament, especially the last time they played India over here. He was a couple of runs short of a milestone. It was an opportunity for him to really put on some great runs, and Virat Kohli spoke very highly of him, the last time that Virat was here, and the last time South Africa was here. So, I mean, India was here. So it's one of those situations where I feel that the series is set up for someone like Aiden to step up and to really show that he's a force in Test cricket, because he showed signs of it in some tests, and then unfortunately never got to really um, show score a lot of centuries in recent times and score the amount of centuries that we'd hoped he'd scored. That we would hope he would score. I think also Rassie van der Dussen will have a good series. I think Rassie is a consistent performer, so you can always hope to get at least minimum 80 to 80, 75 to 80% out of him. That's a minimum that you can hope for him. Um, he always comes out to the middle and he always performs. He's such a consistent performer, no matter what the format is. So he is someone that I enjoy a lot, and it's someone that I think can really boost the guys around him as well. He's really finding his groove in international cricket. He looks very comfortable there. It doesn't look like he's been that he's struggling with the pressure, because in pressure situations now at the World Cup he's performed. So it's good to see that Rassie is taking to international cricket quite smoothly, and I hope that rubs off on the rest of the young guys that are coming through the system from domestic cricket into the system. But I can't just pick one top performer, because we have bowlers and we have batters. So I think with regards to the ball, I think Anrik Nokia is going to have a good season series. I think Anrik Nokia is a deadly bowler. He's growing and he's learning every single game. I think every single game he plays, the better he gets. So, and he always tends to take the big wickets. Last time around, I mean, he played in India. He's always seems to take the biggest wickets and the best wickets around. He's got Virat Kohli to his name. He's got so many great scalps to his name. So he is someone that I feel that thrives under pressure and thrives in the big time. So I think he's going to have a good series, and I really think that he's going to be right there on top. I know, Ray, you're talking about the football. I was watching it before I came live, but I needed to come live with you guys. Afali, can you tell us about the Centurion pitch? How it behaves? Does it seem to be bouncy, swinging, or seaming? Or it will favor only one team, either India or SA? Now, the Centurion pitch has changed quite a lot, I feel, since we saw the last game over there. Like, since I think England was here for the Test series, um, and then we had a couple of who else did we have here at Centurion? But I remember. Let's just talk about the last time India was here. The last time India was here, that the pitch was quite bouncy, and players like Lungingidi really thrived in the conditions, and it really thrived with regards to that, because guys like him could really cramp the batter, and then they struggle to get up to play out and come out. So the Centurion pitch is normally very bouncy, but I think in recent times, South Africa's pitches in general, especially after the water crisis that happened over here, pitches seem to have suffered since then. Groundsmen haven't necessarily got the same type of wickets that were used to. So it's going to be very tricky for me to sit here and tell you how it's going to be, because I don't know how the curators are going to prepare them. So We're gonna have to wait and see on the morning of the test because it will be different, I feel, to what we normally used to. That's what I think personally. And yeah, it's a different. Even the weather is different now in South Africa recently. Like even Cape Town's weather, it hasn't been the the normal hot, blazing hot summers that we've been recently having over this period. It might get like that as we move on through December and into January, but normally we are already starting to see those type of that hot weather in at the end of November and so far. But so far it hasn't necessarily been that scorching hot. Today was very warm. Today was very hot. It was definitely a beach day today, but it hasn't been as consistent. So even Newlands, the pitches haven't been exactly the same. Also, they don't have uh, a permanent appointment as a groundsman at Newlands, so we're not going to necessarily see what we've seen before under Evan Flint and after under Ihtisham Adams. So it won't be the same type of pitch. We're going to see a different pitch there. And I saw it when I saw the pitches recently in the domestic games at Newlands. It won't be the same strip either that they will prepare for Test cricket. So I don't know what the wickets are going to be like. Unfortunately, there hasn't been enough cricket played in South Africa for us to really, in recent times, with regards to domestic cricket, um, for us to really be able to assess it and say, okay, this is how it's going to be. I'm going to have to listen to what the analysts have to say on the morning and see how that pitch looks on the morning when they do the pitch report. So I'm sorry that I can't give you too much insight on that quite yet. Um, where is Aditya, Werner, and Aaron? I don't know, to be honest. I think I just got a message from Aaron. He just told me now that he's going to be 5 or 10 minutes and he'll be here. Aditya did tell me that he's going to be running late. I'm not so sure where Werner is, if he's available to come on tonight. But yeah, you got me. So, as you know, I hope you're happy with that for now. Um, England is such a stupid team. They have one of the best right backs in the world, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and they don't play him. You're still going on about the football over here. I haven't spoken about football on this channel in a long time. The normal guys that actually watch football haven't been on the show really, so we haven't really had an opportunity to really speak about football on the podcast. Normally, we sometimes dabble on that and we talk about that, and Man United hasn't really been in at the same level as we used to. So as we want them to be, at least. Not like we used to, but where we want them to be at least. And also with all the COVID that's happening. And geez, have you guys seen the news on the COVID situations in England at the moment with regards to this professional football? It's been crazy. There's been so many cases in football. It's like ridiculous. Like I was very shocked that that's still happening there. That I thought that they would be a lot more advanced than South Africa and ahead of the times when it comes to that. It hasn't really been uh, a really pleasant over there. I mean, I think United had something like 19 cases of COVID in the team, in the squad, in the team amongst staff and players. So that's like hectic, guys. Games have been called off. Like my fantasy team, if you guys play fantasy football, my fantasy team has been suffering because my entire team, half of my team is out because of COVID. Games been cancelled through COVID. So it's been insane. South Africa's bowling will be serious threat with the inclusion of Olivier. I think it will. I think Olivier will add a different type of spice to what you normally see, though. He's not the same bowler than he was when Pakistan was here. He's a different bowler. We had an exclusive interview on this channel with Olivier, and he gave us some insight into what he was like and how his bowling has changed over the years. It's a lot different to what it used to be. He's swinging the ball a lot more. I think England taught him a lot more than and added to his game because I think it taught him a lesson. He couldn't bowl those bang it into the surface type of deliveries like he was used to. That's short deliveries that he is with the rush batters into shots. He couldn't do that in England. He got caught out like that, and so he had to add other variations to the ball to his game. So I'm very excited to actually see what he can do on the international stage. I think it's very possible for us to see. I think it's very likely and possible that we could see Duan Olivier get play again. I think that if he's selected in the squad, then they obviously are thinking of playing him. I don't think they would have selected him in the squad otherwise. And I think we could see a pace attack of KG Rabada, Andrich Nokia, and and Dwan Olivier. It's very, very possible that we could see that. So I'm interested to see what that has to offer. Cool. Let's get this one. Harley, do you think if Quinton plays, would he bat 6 or 1? Are you talking, obviously talking Test cricket at the moment? Then I don't ever think he would bat at 1 in the Test side, especially because he's a keeper. It's very I don't think you often will see a keeper in Test cricket open the batting. That's it's highly unlikely because he's sitting in, especially if they're fielding first, fielding all day and then going into bat will be too tough on his back. But I think that most likely Quinny will bat at 6 or 7. Um, it's all dependable on who they select as well, I must say. But me personally, I think if I had the choice, I would probably bat him at 6, have all round at 7, and have Temba at 5. So that would probably be my selection if I had to pick. You could even put a all round at 6 and then have Quinton lower down, but I like him in 6. I think that's a nice area for him as a player. Okay, Aditya's here. Whew. Welcome to the show, brother. Good to see you. How are you doing?
Apologies for the delay. There's an unusual amount of traffic for 11:30 p.m. on a Sunday night in Mumbai, so it was
Totally
stuck.
fine. I was enjoying it, actually, talking to the people. I haven't
Yeah,
done that in such a long time. I haven't actually just spoken to them and sat with them and chatted to them. So
yeah,
it was nice to sit there and have a chat with him. I'll probably do one of those if you guys want it. I would probably do like that with you guys alone sometime, and then we'll have a chat. Maybe when we start opening up memberships, then we can do that. Here is Darren.
Yes.
How are you?
Why the long pause?
I wanted you to say something. I was waiting for you to like, hey, or how's it, guys? Or not even
I would
excited,
usually,
even
Holly,
slightly excited.
I am running on about 3 hours of sleep at the moment
Yep,
with the
I
Ashes,
understand.
and
I
yeah, it's not
understand.
even paying off. So yeah, that's good. But yeah, it's just one of those, isn't it? I mean, yeah, I can't really do anything about it. Sat here in England, but we live, we learn, and fingers crossed it won't be 5 now.
Guys, oh yes, I need to update you on something. It doesn't look like there's going to be fans in the stadium in South Africa.
Seriously.
Yeah. So Centurion already.
Oh.
There's not going to be fans at Centurion. It's looking highly unlikely, unfortunately. And even if there was allowed, it was going to be 2,000 people in total. I was told by a CSA representative, told me that only 2,000 people are going to be allowed in the stadium. That's including staff and journalists and everybody. So like when it comes down to the fans, you'll probably get about 500, 700, maybe if you're lucky, maybe 1,000 people in the stadium, which is very little. Especially in a massive stadium like the Wanderers and Centurion. It's going to look really empty, especially with, maybe you'll get away with it if you have a good grass bank. For example, Newlands has a nice grass bank,
yeah,
and at the moment, Newlands only has one grass bank. The other one
yeah,
you remember there used to be two. The other side is
yeah.
completely gone because they're building new. They have a new building over there with offices and with varsity college and stuff like that over there. So that whole side that you guys, I think it's by Castle Corners. Was it Castle Corner side? I think it is
That's
Castle Corner side.
on the side of the Table Mountain. It's not the side that's
Yeah.
facing the Table
Yes.
Mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So the side by the scoreboard, that whole
yeah,
section there on that side, that whole area is like basically rebuilt. By the media center side, yeah, if you guys remember that side. Anyway, so Newlands is revamped and looks different. So, but they would have gotten away with it because, like I said, the grass bank. If you can fill up the grass bank, it looks a little bit, a little bit more full than if you only have stands and seats. Like the Wanderers Stadium it has a little grass bank as well. If you can fill up that grass bank, you're good. Centurion has a lot more grass bank to fill. So I guess that's cool. But if there's no fans in the stadium, it's just going to be behind closed doors. Then, yeah, unfortunately, We're not going to be able to see fans, and I was hoping to see the guys at Newlands. Maybe we can get. Maybe they can do something. Maybe some things will change for the Newlands or Wanderers, but at the moment, nothing. I've heard that Centurion's been cancelled, so yeah, I just had to update you on that.
COVID cricket, eh? It's not ideal,
Yeah.
is it? I mean, to be fair,
Yeah,
that's
it's
the
not.
same with the Ashes at the moment. I mean, I think there's been an outbreak in the media department as well, which isn't ideal. But
Oh,
that is
really?
such a shame. It is such a shame. Honestly, I love this series, by the way. South Africa, India. Of course, South Africa have had the wood over India over the years in home conditions as well. So it's going to be an interesting series. It's just such a shame, though, we're not going to see fans because it's going to be such a compelling, gripping battle, isn't it? Between India, who are incredible right now, second-ranked team in the world. They've been absolutely phenomenal in the Test arena. And then that South African pace attack. I mean, they just draw you in. It's almost hypnotic seeing the likes of Rabard and Nokia. Olivier's going to be interesting as well. May I just say, if he is playing, I remember in 2018, wasn't it, the Pakistan series at the Wanderers? Oh my word. That is one of the best spells I've seen in Test bowling. He made Pakistan look like first-class cricketers, as in domestic cricketers. They were scared of his short ball. It was absolutely terrifying to
Yeah.
watch from my couch. It was absolutely scary. I wouldn't have gone out there and faced him when he was in that kind of mood. So it's going to be a great series. I'm going to be honest. And Aditya, are you confident that India can reverse the curse in this year's series?
Sorry, before you go,
Yes.
Tsepo's asking if Centurion's cancelled. No, Centurion's not cancelled. There's no tickets sold for fans for Centurion, according to the Rapport newspaper. Of course, put out a story on it. That the acting CEO Poletske Moseki said that the final decision would be made early this week. Understands that no spectators will be allowed to accept a few suite holders and delegates. So the Centurion Lions said on Friday, using the Wonder Stadium's Twitter account, that they are not sure whether tickets will be sold for the second test, which starts on the 3rd of January as well. They're not clear whether the spectators will be allowed. We will make further announcements soon. So we will update you guys as soon as possible. Whether fans will be allowed or not, I'll be in contact with everybody from a media perspective. And I remember, I know that there's strict, obviously, protocols. We know that with COVID. I mean, the COVID situation in the world at the moment is bad. I mean, like I said earlier on the stream, like even the Premier League, there's been so many games cancelled because of COVID. So it's been crazy in the world again. We need to be careful. I think everybody just needs to be careful and just stick to the rules. Just sanitize, do the basics at least, minimum, do the basics. Anyway, sorry I cut you off there, did you?
Well, first, I want to echo Aaron's statement about Duan Olivier, that series about Pakistan that he referenced. 3 test matches, 26 wickets. It's an unbelievable
How
return.
ridiculous is that? That honestly, that is that's ludicrous. Oh my days.
But he's not the same
Yeah.
bowler anymore.
Yeah, but still,
From
in the
that
back of your
perspective,
mind,
like
in the back of your mind, though, you're thinking of that short ball. He's still got that at his disposal.
yeah, he still does that. I'm very excited to actually see what he can do with that extra variations that he's been speaking about to us when he told me and Aditya that he's added skills to his game.
It's I think what would be interesting from a selection perspective, South Africa, is that will they pick Lungi Ngidi, who's also got a very good record against India, or would they pick Duan Olivier? The difference between the two is that Duan Olivier has more game time under his belt, and on form, it would be understandable that they pick him. But if you look at Lungi Ngidi, he's got a solid record against India. In the last Test match series that South Africa played against the West Indies, he did well there too. But to answer Aaron's question, I think this is India's best chance of winning against South Africa. There's no doubt. But India also will have to select well. I think that's going to be key to India's success, because Virat Kohli is obviously going to play at 4. K. Rahul has been selected as vice captain, so he's definitely going to open. Mayank Agarwal is coming off 150 and 62, so he should be playing as well. Question is 3 and 5. Will India play Hanuma Vihari, who has got 3 games in South Africa under his belt, or will they play Ajinkya Rahane? Massive question mark.
It is.
It's a massive question mark. And who will they play at 3?
But Pujara, you give Pujara one last roll of the dice, I think. I mean,
But see,
the only thing that I will say though, he struggled in 2021, as we all know. The other problem as well, in terms of career batting average, his career batting average in South Africa is 31.6, which for Pujara is quite substantially lower than his subcontinental figures. So it is going to be very, very interesting in terms of that number 5 battle, Aditya. I might be a bit biased saying Vihari. He did play for Warwickshire this summer, scored a beautiful 50 against Simon Harmer in our magical win against Essex at Edgbaston to set up our title charge. So I'd be tempted to go Vihari, to be completely honest, but knowing India, they'll probably go with Rahane one more series. If it doesn't work out, then I suppose they'll have to go to the contingency plans, shall we say?
Yeah, because it's a tough one. I think of all the overseas series that India has had to play, I think this is going to present the toughest selection challenge, because in Australia at one point they had 11 players to choose from. They chose those 11 players at the Gabba. In England they had more of their best players to choose from, but in South Africa that's a different challenge, because your preferred 11 has players in key positions that are not in form, and you have able replacements. So do you make a massive statement and pick them? Because if you pick them, you have to pick them for the entire series. Otherwise, you look foolish in the first place. It's a 3 test match series, so you can't. If you pick them for the first game, they have to play all 3 test matches, unless there's an injury. But I think that's going to take a lot of conviction from Virat Kohli and Rahul Dravid.
100%. Werner, are you watching the new Spider-Man film? Is that where you're coming to us live from the cinema?
It's kind of complicated, but I'm trying to tune in with you guys.
The sound's perfect, so we can see you as well, so it's good.
Yeah, I just put my phone light on so that you can at least see my face. I don't have this great setup you guys have with mics and lights and everything. Or Aaron and Khalid at least. Dicha's always lighted up wherever he goes, so it doesn't change.
But how is it? How are you doing, Werner? How's things going?
I'm all right. I'm a bit of a tough spot. My contract is up, so I don't have a job right now, and my parents have COVID, and my brother has COVID, and my girlfriend has COVID. So I'm like sitting on my parents' porch right now. So this is why I'm basically in the dark, coming to you guys. So I'm sort of still trying to do my thing, but so I'm kind of in between right now.
Jeez, bro. Sorry to hear about that. Our prayers are with you.
No, it's okay. They're all not too bad, so they'll pull through.
Okay. All vaccinated?
Not all, but yes, they're all fine.
Okay, cool. That's cool. As long as they're okay, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
And you're very up to date with the news and stuff. And is there anything that you've seen recently before we go to the main topic over here? That you've seen in the news that might be good news or bad news when it comes to cricket in South Africa?
I have been a bit behind. I did see the under-19s gone off today, outbound to the West Indies. I'm looking forward to that. Really looking forward to seeing the under-19s play.
Yeah, me too. I mean, and what about the Ashes? I mean,
can we not? I say we skip to the main topic, to be honest. The less we talk about the Ashes, the better. You know, I've stayed up for every single ball. I am so sleep deprived, and what have I witnessed? Us get hammered at the Gabba. We're probably going to lose again at the Adelaide Oval. But you just know, I'm going to be up midnight on Boxing Day with that little bit of hope in my heart, and then Australia will be 500 for 1, and it'll just be gone like that all over again. So, I mean, if you want to talk the Ashes, we can, but how long have you got? Because I make it 20 to 7 here in the UK, and I could be going on until about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning with the post-mortem of these first 2 tests.
England aren't exactly helping themselves with all those no balls and drop catches, and I don't know what Butter is doing, dropping the easy catches, taking the difficult ones. So,
well, it's positioning actually. For anyone out there who is an upcoming wicketkeeper, if you go on Twitter or you go on YouTube, BT Sport or Cricket on BT Sport, I think it's called, their Twitter handle. Matt Pryor did an entire wicket-keeping masterclass today. And the interesting thing, actually, with regards to Joss Buttler in this series is that his feet aren't moving at all. His positioning is all over the place. And as a keeper, I know it's very, very cliche, but if your footwork's in tune, your hands move with you. If your footwork is good, if you're solid with your positioning in terms of behind the stumps, alignments, putting that extra step in to give you momentum to take the catch, you're going to be successful. If you watch Joss, in particular, that drop against Marnus on 95, he was stationary. He was static. He was like stuck in cement. So that's something that I've picked up, personally speaking, and I'm not even a keeper. So you can imagine what the likes of Matt Pryor and Gilchrist on commentary are thinking when they're seeing that. But honestly, like, it's been hard. Let me just tell you something right now. I'm not going to say I was confident, because I wasn't. It's England in Australia, but this is the big one for us here in England, right? 1882, the first ever Ashes, 139 years of history. We want that urn. It's as simple as that. And yeah, it's just gone horribly, horribly wrong. And it says a lot with regards to England's batting at the moment, when Chris Woakes, who bats at number 8, is England's 4th leading run scorer in this series with 61 runs. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see if we can improve.
I saw a stat today about Joe Root being the captain with both the most runs and most wickets in the Test Championship so far.
That doesn't surprise me at all, honestly.
He has like 21 wickets, mostly due to that India tour, but still.
I was about to say that. And Aditya, it's funny. What do I always mention? What word do I always mention when it comes to the Proteas? Identity. And when it comes to England's identity in Test cricket at the moment, it seems to be give it to Joe Root and hope for the best, which isn't working. So we'll have to wait and see. I don't know what's going to happen in this series. Do you know, for a joke, on every single platform I've been on, I've said 5-0 Australia, because my predictions this year have been absolutely dreadful. Across tournaments, across franchise leagues, international cricket. I said RCB would win the IPL. I said the West Indies would win the T20 World Cup. The one time that I say it's going to be 5-0, it looks like it's actually going to happen. So thank you. Big up to the cricketing gods for getting one over on me one last time in 2021.
And Australia's playing without Cummins and Hazelwood.
I know. Although, to be fair, I must admit, Jai Richardson and Michael Neser, fantastic replacements, and it's a testament to the strength in depth that they have. Yeah. I mean, Michael Neser has been a fantastic seam bowler for so many years now for Queensland. He came to county cricket this season, did brilliantly well with Glamorgan. It was Division 2 in the end that Glamorgan ended up in. So more than apt replacements, but people keep on questioning technique. People keep on questioning whether county cricket is sufficient enough. Again, I'm not going to go into that on this podcast. We'll have to do that on another show. But I don't think it's all technique. I think it's temperament. And to be honest, that's going to be something important in this South Africa-India series as well. Time at the crease. Because in countries such as Australia and South Africa, the ball isn't swinging all over the place. You're not going to be, getting trapped LBW, maybe potentially every 3-4 overs. Once you're in, you have to go big. And if you look at England so far, even the likes of Joe Root and Dawid Malan, they've got these 50-plus scores. They're not converting them to tons. Whereas you look at Australia, I mean, Marnus scoring 95, Warner scoring 94, 95. You got Travis Head scoring a runner ball 50 today and 152 at the Gabba. That has been the difference between England and Australia. We're getting in on these surfaces, we're getting to grips with them, and all of a sudden, an erratic shot comes into play, and you just give your wicket away. And it makes it so much easier for the Aussies. They get the tail up. They put the men in close as well. They start attacking. And when you've got a fragile batting lineup, it's going to get exposed. So, yeah, lots for England to sort. Again, if anyone does want to keep on getting the questions in, get them in. But honestly, It's been a rough watch for this particular England fan.
But I think
Did
a
ya?
large part of sorry, go ahead.
No, you are
Just like
going ahead. It's fine.
a large part of the problem is the opening partnership. But if you look at the rest of the order, they've generally got runs, which is encouraging. At least certainly Milan and Root have been in good form. So the batting is brittle, but it's still not that bad. Like in a six batter lineup, you generally expect 2 or 3 to do well at any given time. And that's been happening with decent scores from Milan and Root. But I think it's just the fact that Milan and Root are having to come in so early into an innings that it's putting them and the rest of the team under pressure.
Oh, 100%. And look, we all know about the English opener carousel, and some people already calling for Haseeb Hamid's head, saying he should be dropped. And I just think that would be wrong right now. I mean, he is an inexperienced opener. And in my opinion, I love Haseeb. I think he's done really well. If you know the backstory, struggled at Lancs in 2019, got axed from his boyhood county, came back for Notts in 2020, and has been on this fantastic resurgence, a renaissance in his red ball game. I think that he is good enough for England. I'm just not sure he is now in these conditions, because if you look at his technique, very, very low hands. And in Australia, that is going to get you exposed. Same in South Africa. You have to meet your hands to the bounce of the ball. And Haseeb Hameed just isn't doing that. He's not used to it at Trent Bridge, if we're being completely honest. So for me, it comes down to selection. And again, I don't blame Haseeb Hameed. I don't blame the likes of a Jack Leach. I don't necessarily blame the players 100%. I think it's also coaching and selection. I think that's a massive, massive piece of this as well. And may I just say, I'm not sure if any of you guys or the viewers out there read this the other day in Wisden, but Chris Silverwood, after the first test, and I couldn't believe this, I had to read this about 6-7 times, said that we plan to be none for one. We plan as a team to go into a match and within the first 2 overs be none for one. It boggles the mind. Do you ever think that Australia or India or New Zealand or Pakistan or South Africa would ever say that? Especially in an Ashes series, you expect to be none for one, and it was the way that it was just so flippant. It was so flippant as well. It was like, it's the master plan. We're going to go in with none for one, and we're going to fight back. We got steamrolled, as if it wasn't bad enough. It's not as though we came back and scored like 400 runs. We were skittled for 147. So I hope that isn't the plan heading into the rest of the series and the West Indies series beyond that. I mean, honestly, it inspires absolutely no confidence whatsoever. If my club captain said that to me, I'd tell him, what on earth are you doing? I mean, we shouldn't be aiming to be none for one. We should be aiming to be 50 for none or 100 for none. None for one in an Ashes series. Justin Langer must have read that and cried himself to sleep at night. Honestly, I've never heard anything like that in my life. So, yeah, I think that pretty much says where we're at, to be honest, in English Test cricket at the moment. But we're not here to talk about England, fortunately, are we, Khalid? What's the main topic today? So I could do with some deflection.
Yeah, let's do that. Aditya, I want you to lead us into this topic. It was your idea to go with this topic today, so you can lead us into it.
Yeah, we touched upon it briefly in previous conversation this week, and I think there's a narrative around cricket that doesn't necessarily revolve around cricket, but it helps sort of further the game. And there are so many different facets that we can talk about, whether it's access, townships, making equipment available to cricketers. That's one bit. But this week, certainly one thing that really fascinated me was this conversation about ensuring that cricket is well marketed. Because ultimately, if you look at the cycle of the development of a cricketer, where does it begin? It begins with the role models. Role models are only going to be visible to the public if they're on TV. They're only going to be on TV if they're marketed well. They're only going to be marketed well if there is a certain marketing machinery around these players. And there's only going to be a certain marketing machinery around these players if there's money in the game. And
Yeah.
all of this is a cycle that revolves around certain key players, but ultimately inspires many more to take up the game. And it's something that has been missing largely in South African cricket for a period of time now, at least since players of the golden generation have retired, and cricket has therefore been, I suppose, a bit more inaccessible and on the sidelines in South African cricket. And sure, we can all talk about a standard of cricket and performance and so on. All those things are important, but none of that would really make much of an impact if those performances are not delivered to the public. The public, someone sitting in Rosebank should know how well Kakiso Rabada has bowled. Someone sitting in Langa should know how well
Yeah.
Andre Nokia has bowled, or how well Dean Alka has batted. And these things are important, because
Yeah.
ultimately cricket it's a sport, but it's a medium for communication to the public.
The number one thing for me is okay. Now, I don't know if it's got to do with necessarily only money, or it's got to do with control, but there is a continuous battle between TV rights when it comes to cricket in South Africa, specifically between SABC and Supersport. So Supersport owns the rights for cricket in South Africa. We know that. And if they don't play it on Supersport, you don't get to see cricket unless you're going to watch it on Pitch Vision. So obviously, we saw like Tsepo doing commentary on Supersport commentary for some of the games, obviously for the SAA, and that's a start. And we can't just assume though that majority are going to be able to have access to data to be able to watch YouTube, because not everybody has internet lines necessarily with Wi-Fi, with strong enough Wi-Fi to be able to stream at those lengths. A lot of people are on paid data type of models in South Africa, still to this day in the masses. I'm talking about in the poorer communities as well. So we need to get cricket back on SABC so that more people can have access to it, because that's majority of the viewers in this country when it comes to anything. And if we don't do that, then it's going to be a proper issue. Because we're not going to be able to market it to the rest of the world. Now, yes, the politics in South African cricket are obviously going to also cause issues over there. There's a lot of politics in South African cricket, in South African sport in general. And but generally speaking, I feel that if we don't organize cricket, if we don't show cricket to more people, that's going to be the first thing that's going to be the issue. Marketing it to the townships is pointless if they can't watch it anyway. Like, we could put thousands of posters of Zubair Ramza, Temba Bavuma, and Calvareno up on the billboards or at the closest nearest shop, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to. People are going to be like, "Who's these guys?" they're like, if they're not going to be able to watch them play on the weekend, then there's no point in marketing it to those areas, especially if at the moments we don't necessarily have cricket in the stadiums
In the
back.
stadiums back then.
Yeah, so fans are
Yeah, so
not. I'm hearing myself in Sepo's screen, but when it comes to marketing, it's pointless marketing to a group of people that are not going to be able to have access to watch it. The one thing that India has done so phenomenally well is that I feel that internet is quite accessible for in India, for the relatively cheaper rates. In South Africa, things are expensive. Data, my lord. So if you can't afford a Wi-Fi connection to get a fast enough internet connection, to pay 1,000 rand per month on internet, basically in this country, to get a fast internet line. That I'm talking about fiber now. If you want to be on a level of UK, you want to be the level of other countries. We can get cheaper lines, but it's not going to be necessarily as fast. It's damn expensive to get Wi-Fi in this country when it comes to that. So if it's not Wi-Fi, you're going to get data, and data is even worse. Like, if you, like Dale Steyn made a good point when he left, and he came back to South Africa, and he dropped at the airport, and he saw the price of data compared to where he was on holiday. He was like, "This is a joke. The amount of money he has to pay for data." And that's a guy that's wealthy, that has money, that is complaining about data prices. So just imagine people in poorer communities. So it's a proper issue, especially with cricket, because cricket's also an elitist sport, I feel, and you're gonna have to give. Aditya made a fair point over there. It's the heroes. It starts with heroes. If we're not producing enough people that look like me, that look like Tsepo, that to talk to the masses of this country, which is 80% of the country. If a guy sees, I mean, you can't expect a young black African kid from the township to look up to AB de Villiers. Like, there's nothing relatable there from a life perspective. Like, how's he going to expect to? He's never going to get in the office. He's never going to be able to go to get that type of coaching. The chances of him following AB de Villiers' footsteps from that perspective is not there. When you look at our national rugby team, so many people are relating to Siya Kilish's story. And that's so important for the rest of the country. That's so important for developing something that someone can look up to. And the more and more of those type of guys or people that you can see that are relatable, the more opportunity you get for more people to want to take on the sport. So there's a lot of facets that we need to speak about. If anybody else can weigh in on this, because it's actually a very good, interesting topic.
Yeah, this is exactly where I want to jump in, because I've been feeling that cricket has been making itself more and more inaccessible to just the general population in the country. And now the fact that it's not on SABC anymore, I was literally talking to someone because I work in Pick and Pay sometimes when I'm not like having COVID. And he worked at Verymark, and he was telling me about, oh, I used to watch cricket all the time. This, that, or the other. I could never play, but I used to love watching it. I used to know who to hate. Ricky Ponting, loved to hate that guy. And I'm like, this guy knows his stuff. But it's unfortunate that we sort of let him down. And now cricket isn't something that the general population can enjoy. And give it a few years, if things continue this way, we're going to go into like townships. We're going to go to maybe even just middle class areas, talk about cricket. They're going to be like, well, there are other things, there are other sports to play because they're just more accessible. And I mean, from my experience as well, cricket just became too expensive to maintain. Like, you can't be a batter, you can't be a keeper, grade 9. You can't buy new bats anymore because it's just getting too expensive. So this isn't looking good. I really do hope that like Cricket South Africa or some cricket philanthropists just make some moves to make it like a bit more accessible for like the general population, and taking it away from people's faces, like taking it away from their eyes, not ideal. They should find a way to make highlights a bit more accessible or something, but we do need to be talking about solutions. I really do hope that the higher ups are talking about these types of things, because that was very apparent from the get-go. Once you take it off SABC, who's going to watch cricket for real? And cricket takes long. Let's be honest. Of all the sports, it's probably like the longest one to like get invested into. So it's not doing itself any favors. We're not doing ourselves favors here.
I mean, even our shortest format is long, So like when it comes to other sports. So T20 cricket, I don't count T10. So T20 cricket, when it comes to international cricket, T20 cricket, it's long still. It's still 4 hours, So it's still taking time out of your day. So you get the real loyal sports fans that will go watch cricket, and that's what we need to tap into. That's what we're trying to tap into at Cricket Fanatics Mag. Now, we don't have the broadcasting power to be able to do things that Supersport can do, but at least we can try to bring these guys to you guys so you can understand who they are as people as well, so that you don't just see them as sportsmen, you see them personalities, and you see what they're into. If we can get more of you guys to challenge them on Call of Duty and get to know them as friends, then by all means that can be the route. But at least you'll get to know them, get to know more about them, relate to them, because that's very important. It's the relatability. You need to look at it. Like for me, growing up, I looked up to a guy like Herschel Gibbs as a batsman. I looked at him. I wanted to play like him. Like that was my like a hero growing up as a batter. And then I used to try. I wanted to get his bat. You know, like everybody, like just think about it. Now, if you want to see Graham Smith or you want to play like Abel de Villiers, or you want to play like, let's look at a current person, let's say Aiden Markram, price of that bats. And not only GM, not only talking about you, all the bats. Just like they don't want to sponsor us, Cricket Fanatics Magazine. Just hit us up if you want to sponsor us, GM. I saw Dane Bias actually the other day. I actually saw Dane Bias the other day at a hotel restaurant, and we had a little chat. So maybe if he's watching the stream, he can maybe put a good word in there at GM, because he's obviously very much involved over there. But when it comes to bats in South Africa, like for me, the first thing I wanted to do I can only talk from my personal experience, but the first thing I wanted to do is like, who's my favorite cricketer? I want their bat. Like they always used to have them like lined up. Oh, that's Graham Smith's bat. Oh, that's Herschel's bat. Oh, that's Jock Callis' bat. And at that time, I remember everybody wanted to play with the Slazenger, the V, what's it, V800, V600, all of those ones. V1,
the V1200. Oh, Jock Callis. Oh, yes.
And the V1200. I remember at school, like everybody, when you came with that new bat, you're like, oh, check out my new bat out. I got the V1200. And like, oh no, but I've got Graham's bat. He had a yellow handle still. Like it's like one of those things that gave you extra, like it's almost like a collectible in a way. It's like it was closest thing to me to Pokemon cards. So when you comparing, so so I don't know, like those things. It's difficult now because of the prices of bats. Like literally, you will literally get a headache when you walk into Sportsman's Warehouse now when you go look at the prices of the bats. I was shocked out of my mind. I was like, what kid is going to be able to afford this bat? Like I went to the bat and I was like, I looked at it and I was like, okay, but this is too small. This is a kid's bat at this price. And then I went to the senior bats and I was like, double the price almost. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, I don't know who's going to be able to do this. Werner, you want to tap in here and talk about this because it's very important that you spoke about earlier in the group chat about Radio 2000, for example. Like, having accessibility even on the radio.
Yeah, it's disappointing because I said it on the group as well. I remember listening to us playing against Australia, similar to how Aaron would get up at midnight to watch some of the games. Obviously, we are only, I think, an hour ahead of England, so we would get up at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning and watch the games. And if you were driving off somewhere, let's say at this time of year especially, because we did generally play Australia at this time of the year, then we would be driving somewhere to go on holiday. And then in the middle of the night, early hours, you'll be listening to Radio 2000. You'll be listening to Neil Manthorpe on the radio and saying, oh, okay, you're getting into it because you get a good description of what is happening. And on the radio, they generally talk about a lot of other things as well, a lot of other interesting things about cricket that you don't necessarily hear with the TV commentators that I also enjoyed. And obviously, you get a lot more description because on TV, you see what's happening. So the commentators say, okay, good shot, but they don't give a big description of what happened. But on the radio, they would generally say, okay, he's middled this, went through the covers of the front foot. This guy is chasing it. He threw it into the keeper. Okay, he ran him out. And you know exactly what is going on. And I think a lot of people learned a lot more about cricket through just listening to what was happening, and we won't get that these days. I do think SABC will still be showing the domestic games, but they don't show any overseas games anymore. They didn't even show the World Cup. So like nobody that didn't have access to SuperSport that is expensive were able to even follow the World Cup, which is a tragedy because at least we won 4 out of the 5 games, even if we didn't make the knockouts. And the fact that nobody was able to watch that's really disheartening. But yeah, and also before I end, I just want to say congrats to Chepo. I enjoyed his commentary on the SAA series, so well done, sir.
But not even one shout out to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. Not even one. Guys,
they were going to have
our channel was saying Cricket Fanatics Magazine has tweeted us, but not one from Chepo.
Oh, they were going to have my head if I said Cricket Fanatics Magazine just randomly, just out the blue. There's even another the cricket commentator, the guys that actually got us there. We couldn't even mention our own name, so we're just like, just avoid saying any other broadcast. If you tweet, yeah, we'll talk about the tweets. But I was watching tweets. I was the guy watching tweets, so it was actually me that gave us a little shout out there. So yeah, I'd appreciate a little bit more appreciation, Khalid. Just saying, just saying. If we're still having this conversation, thank you. If we're still having this conversation, yeah, I think that the main thing for me, that we need to really think about is how are we going to justify all this expenditure to like parents that have passionate children. I know my parents didn't want anything. At the beginning, they were like, yes, we'll invest. Look at you and your dreams. Wow. But then by the time I get to 15, they're like, okay, my boy, enough. We're not going to invest any money. And you can't have like a size 4 bat when you're 15. You know what I'm saying? You need to grow up, and that's the problem. Things are getting expensive, but no one's like, I wouldn't say no one's giving answers, because there are people working tirelessly to sort things out. But I mean, I grew up relatively privileged, in the middle class. I'm just imagining people that grew up in the townships that really could pursue these things and really would want to. And now maybe they won't even want to because they don't even see their hero. So it's looking a little ominous for cricket at the moment. And I really do hope that some plans, like some attempts, will be made to make sure that cricket doesn't die, because it looks like it's going in that direction. Not dying, maybe that's a little hectic, but we need to take getting cricket in front of people a lot more seriously. Otherwise, it's an ominous future.
I just want to give the overseas guys over here an understanding, like Aaron and Aditya.
Is that what we're
because I
called
speak
now?
to you about him.
We're the overseas players, are we?
Overseas guys, yeah, you're the overseas, yeah. Sooner or later, you're going to sign reverse call packs. So
We only allow 2 at the stage here. We're half the IPL.
So just Aditya knows, because I speak to him a lot about it, how much things cost in South Africa. So, for example, to play the sport, it's going to cost you close to 5,000 to 10,000 rand to play the sport in this country. If you want pads and you want a bat and you want a helmet and you want a ball box and you want all of those things, then you want still long pants, white pants, and then some cleats if you want to play with proper shoes as well.
Or if you're Jared, you don't need a box.
You actually need 2. You need 2 or 3 because they're targeting you, dude.
So like, for example, that's to play the sport. Now to watch the sport. On SuperSport, you can't buy a sports package that gives SuperSport 2, for example. And SuperSport 2, or 212 now that it's called, that's the only channel that plays cricket. So in order for you to watch cricket, you need to buy the full bundle. And the full DStv bundle is close to over 1,000 rand. So that's also, you have to pay 1,000 rand to get DStv to be able to watch cricket. That's to make it accessible to people to be able to watch it.
1,000 rand monthly, eh? It's monthly.
That's monthly. Yeah, that's monthly.
That's without installation and getting the decoder. Sorry.
Exactly. That's without the installation and getting the decoder and making sure you set the setup costs as well. Then if you want your catch up for you be able to watch highlights, etc., then you're gonna need an internet line if you're gonna buy the new Explorer that they are so nicely obviously advertising everywhere. Right? The internet line, then you're gonna obviously have to get let's pay another 1,000 rand, but close to 1,000 rand for internet, or 500. You can pay anywhere between 500 to 1,000 rand for a decent line in South Africa for internet. So that's your other avenue stream that you need to get to be able to watch cricket if you're going to watch it on YouTube or etc. So that's the major problem with South Africa, is that it's not accessible because of what it costs. That is crazy. So that's the difference. I mean, I checked the numbers of what kits cost. Kits cost the same amount of a bat over here. It's like, it's insane if you compare the price between India. If I have to ship a kit from India here, I can probably, with one bat in South Africa, I can probably let 3 people play cricket.
I was just as you were saying this, I was rechecking the cost of subscription to Hotstar, which is where we watch most of our cricket, Indian cricket. And the premium subscription is 300 Rand for a year.
For a year? What?
Yeah.
What? For a
Yes.
year? No,
a
no,
year.
no, no. For a year?
We got him
What?
food for that amount of money a year.
I saw how big Aditya's eyes went when he heard monthly.
Huh?
Yeah, I'm not joking. It's 300 Rand a year for premium. And there's also another option, which is about like 180 Rand for a year. So the 300 is the more expensive option. There's also
I'm moving
180
to
Rand.
Bangalore.
I mean,
See you later, chaps. Jeez, that's £14
like I
a
checked how much
year.
it costs. I was shocked. I was shocked out of my mind when I saw the price of MUTV. Man United have their own TV channel. MUTV, a yearly cost subscription is £12 or something
You
like
have
that.
to pay for that.
I was shocked out of my mind. I was like, "What for a year?"
They should pay
Yeah,
you
for
to watch
MUTV
that.
you have to pay. Yeah, it's true. She's the Arsenal fan.
Yeah, I think any
Okay.
degree of market research, or anyone seeking even a certain degree of profitability in their business would get an understanding that in addition to high cost, you also need a high volume of subscribers. It doesn't work with a select percentage of people who are willing to pay a high amount of money to access the service, and that's not
Exactly.
sustainable. That's not sustainable for business.
But what
And
makes SuperSport so successful is that because they're so expensive, they don't need as many subscribers. So they don't need to have a lot of people watching their channel. So because of that, they are happy. They're like, okay, we're making $1 billion a year. We don't have to worry about the masses.
but
And
eventually that's cutting out a large part of the population. That's not sustainable, right? Because you're making $1 billion by charging these exorbitant prices, but you could be making 5 billion if you altered your business plan a little bit.
I do want to mention something that is very important in this conversation as well. This 999 Rand, I think it's 934 if you're like, it doesn't matter. But this is for the whole DSTV premium bundle. So it's not just sports, it's sports and a whole bunch of other channels that no one really enjoys. So if SuperSport, if you're listening, if you're watching SuperSport, please leave DSTV and just make a sports like streaming service for the sports fans. Because to be fair, watching sports, or at least the comprehensive package that SuperSport gives us access to like tennis, rugby, football, any other sport you can think of. It's a fantastic platform. And I heard that in different countries, especially in Europe, you'll have to pay subscriptions to different like services just to get an entire bundle of sports. So props to SuperSport for that. But please, SuperSport, please leave DSTV. We don't want decoders anymore. It's expensive. Please.
Like
Please.
for you, Aaron, for example, if you come down here and you watch you see the amount of Premier League football we get. We get every single game. Every single game is televised. So even games that you guys don't like, there's a 3:00. I think there's a dead 3:00 or something like that.
Yeah,
you guys
yeah.
don't get to watch it on
That's
TV.
law in
We
England.
get
It's to allow grassroots.
every single game that is played in the Premier League. We get to watch. So there's a channel for every single game in the Premier League. Like, it's crazy. So we get to watch every single Premier League game on TV, which is nice, and there is a lot of value in it. Like, for example, they also add like NBA. We get live. We get now NFL live. We get WWE live as well. But the reason they can't make a sports package is because they know that nobody's going to get the premium then, and they're going to lose half the money. So they're actually forcing people to get the premium so that they can watch sport, because even they have a compact version, but the compact version only allows you to watch football. So you'll get only 2 football channels, like 3 and 4, for example. You don't get to watch the rugby and you don't want to watch the cricket. And they know that South Africa the two biggest sports in South Africa from a commercial perspective is rugby and cricket. So in order for you to watch the rugby and cricket, you need to buy the full premium package. So unfortunately, that's just how it is in South Africa. They control the monopoly SuperSport. And we need to change that if we want cricket to prosper. Because, for example, they own the rights to domestic cricket in South Africa as well. So that means nobody else can stream it legally. So even if I stand there with a camera and shoot live, I'll get into crap because they own the rights to it for viewership, but they don't even play it on TV. So it's like what's the point of even owning the rights if you're not going to even show it on TV or show it somewhere? So they started doing it. They tested it out the one season, Werner, when they played 4-day cricket on TV. And I thought it was doing. A lot of people were acting with us and talking on our streams about it and got to watch it.
Yeah, we got to see
thought
Aiden
that the
Markram's
Hotstar
first
deal.
double
I
century.
thought, yeah. So I was hoping that South Africa, because I think that they're going to a lot more. There's going to be connections because for MSL, for example, they signed a deal with Hotstar, I think, or Star, or one of the India broadcasting channels. So the India fans that are South African fans too got to watch it on their streaming services, our MSL especially. So if they can strike a deal there, but the problem is that you're going to be growing South African cricket in another country, not in your own. And that's where the problem is going to lie. So
true. And there are so many different ways that accessible coverage can help, along with equipment. See, every individual in India who's playing cricket doesn't necessarily own an entire kit. It's like some people, they use a tree as stumps and you mark it with chalk and you've got your stumps there. You try different things. You have a wall and, you mark a wall with like a black pen and you've got your stumps and you have a stone on the other side as your other stump. So, we try different things like that. But the moment you see, like when I grew up, my first memory of cricket was Sachin Tendulkar in 1998 playing that sandstorm knock, and immediately my first thought was, let's go down and play cricket, with a tennis ball. I didn't care about not having pads and gloves and all of that. I got that eventually. But my first motivation was someone bowled to me, I'm going to bat, I'm going to knock a few tube lights out, and that's it. That's cricket for you. That's how it starts. And I think if you really think about it in the South African context, there is so much untapped love for cricket. Where you start giving out some reasonable bats, some tennis balls, and get people to play on the street.
well, we do that here. Definitely, that does happen. We even tape the ball to make it a little harder sometimes. So we tape it up, or some people used to put some elastic bands over it as well to make it a little bouncier. So we do play street. I mean, that's how I played cricket when I grew up. I played at my grandmother's house. She had a little paving, and then we used to bat over there and against the wall. That's why I'm left-handed, is because my favorite shot was the pull shot, and the window was on that side. So if I have to pull, I'm going to pull straight into the window. So I had to change my batting to left when I was young already, and that's why I became a left-handed batter, because I wanted.
It's funny because I did a similar thing. I had a wall right on the right-hand side of me. So I was batting right-handed, but I loved driving the ball, so I kept hitting it right in the wall and back at me. And I'm like, no, this is not working. So I started batting left-handed as well. So I did almost the exact same thing. But we also use dustbins as wickets, even if it's too big actually, but you'd use a dustbin and a tennis ball, and we just play with a cheap bat, tennis ball, and that's it.
But it makes it difficult in certain areas to play in the street as well. It's dangerous for kids in certain areas because there's gunshots flying around. There's like it's hectic in gang-stricken areas like Lavender Hill and Manenberg and Hanover Park. It's very tricky to play in the streets all the time. Yes, the kids still do it, but it is it is quite dangerous as well. So we need to also take that into account. But people do play in the streets, and that's where we started. obviously PlayStation changed that and gaming changed that. People are in front of their phones or playing games on their phones, and they're less outside than they used to be. So that obviously is going to change that. And football is so much easier to play. All you need is a ball. Get up with a couple of friends, go down to the local field or go down to the street, and you can play football. So we used to mix it up, kind of. I remember when with my certain cousins, because some of my cousins liked rugby, some of them I like cricket, and others maybe soccer. So even with my friends in my school group, some like cricket, some like soccer, some like rugby. So you play all three. So you play a little cricket, then you play some touchies, and then you play some soccer as well. So football, I would prefer to say football than soccer.
Thank you. Thank you. On behalf of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, we thank you, Khalid, for using the correct term, football. But going back onto the main point as well, with regards to this whole free-to-air stuff, it is so important. It really is, because I think back to my first ever experience of watching England. I mean, beforehand, I'd been down to Warwickshire, watched domestic cricket, fell in love with it. But with England, for those who know, in England, we have this channel called Channel 5. And that used to show the highlights of the Ashes. And that's how I got into England cricket, by watching that great escape with Jimmy and Monty in Cardiff. It's so important, okay, because free-to-air television goes out to the nation. All it takes is a few kids to watch that, get inspired, and already you're developing that talent pool. You're developing the next generation to go out there. But in addition to free-to-air, it comes back to accessibility, and it comes back to cost and price yet again with cricket, because Khalid, you've just nailed it right there. With regards to football, all it takes, a ball. It doesn't necessarily have to be a football, but all you need is a football. You need jumpers and a couple of mates. I mean, you don't even need mates at times. You can just, do some keepy uppies, hone your skills.
This is hilarious, this comment. I'm sorry, I have to show this comment. I was like, oh my word, like calling the cops on the night. That's like, that happens. Like, I remember, like, in my road, like, we used to play cricket sometimes with my previous neighbors, and we used to get dirty looks sometimes. And then we hit the ball into people's. Obviously, you're gonna hit the ball into people's gardens and stuff like that, into their property. Then they don't give you the ball back. It's like then your game's over. Like, someone's always gonna do it. Someone's gonna hit it into the other person's yard.
Or there's like
That's
a big
where
dog
6
and
and
you
out
can't climb
came
over the
from.
wall.
Oh, yeah, that's the origins of 6 and outs, because the game's over. Now Johnny's the chop that hit the ball over. We told you not to hit it over, dude. That was David's last ball. Yeah, we've all been there.
It's like, whoever hit it over, you need to go fetch it. Like, that's the thing. The game's over, but you need to fetch the ball. You need to get it back somehow. You buy me a new one. That was the key.
But yeah, as we're just to bring it back to the topic, that's the importance of free to air television, because it makes it all accessible, and it gets into the imagination of young kids that want to just be dark colors. Even if you're black, you still wanted to be a batsman. You knew that it would be a bit tough, but you could still dream in the backyard. And now, if you can't even see it, how you gonna want to achieve it? So yeah, we're just hammering on the same points, but I think it's very important. We need SABC to get their act together, or at least something, even if it's just highlights. Nyana, there, Supersport, don't be stingy. Share the highlights. Come on, get Pitch Vision involved. Make it like low quality, but make it on our budget. But it's fine. It's fine.
Give your highlights to Cricket Fanatics. Let us upload it on our YouTube channel to our fans. Let them also see it. Like, that's how you're gonna get it out there. Like, think about all of those type of things. Aaron, you were
Going
saying
for the
something before I
subscribers there.
Aaron, you were saying something before I interrupt you with that comment.
Oh, sorry. Goodness me, to be honest, I've kind of gone off track there as well. Going back onto it, we've just mentioned free to air. Oh yes, accessibility and cost with regards to coaching as well. I think that's another important thing in particular. Just to give you, some figures here from England in like a county setup. And no, I never made it to the county setup, fortunately. Here in Warwickshire, they do actually have some talented cricketers in this county. But it costs, I think, around about £1,000 to get quality coaching, at an age group level. And not only that, the sessions take place at a rigid time. So they have group sessions, they do not change. So it assumes that every single person in that age group setup will be available at that time. It doesn't, doesn't take into consideration people's working hours or if they're free or not. So that's another, it's a barrier to entry. That's what I'd call it here in England. And the cost of the equipment is it's ludicrous at times. I mean, I think, remember, was it earlier this year or last year? And there's that photo of that bat in South Africa. It's like 9 or 10,000 rand, which was absolutely preposterous. Preposterous. I mean, you can't afford that if you're a normal person.
Inconceivable.
Unfathomable. Hey, I come from Shakespeare's County. I'm well versed. What can I say? Okay, but getting back on.
Without Aaron.
Exactly. Hey, what a line that is. Absolute baller.
How eloquently put.
Is that the Afrikaans version?
Can't even pronounce it.
I wasn't expecting that, Werner, but thank you for that. But I'll keep on saying, getting back on topic, things keep on cropping up, don't they? But no, when it comes to the cost of equipment as well, that definitely does need to be reviewed. I mean, we had this conversation it was either a review show or it was another podcast ages ago. The fact that you can import equipment to South Africa and get it cheaper than you can from going to a local shop. That isn't right. Okay, you need to make it a lot more accessible. And I know you've got the KFC mini cricket. That's a good start. It's going to expand the potential reach of South Africa's cricketing audience. But at the same time, I mean, who is going to pay, like 2,000-3,000 rand for a bat? Then you got to get all of your kit as well. It's just too expensive. I mean, it's not realistic when you've got football, rugby, which in comparison cost absolutely nothing.
You just need a ball and some shoes and some space. You see, it's just like you're looking at. I feel like whenever I look at rugby, I just get jealous because they got everything right, dog. They got the transformation rights as well. And
Seppo,
this. Hello?
Where does rugby come from?
But doesn't cricket also come from England? Why are you making this the conversation? Stop.
No. Specifically, where does rugby
I don't know. It's association, football, and all that. Why?
No, county.
County. I don't know. I don't even know that the different counties. I know Sussex and Essex because they end with X. I know Middlesbrough is one, right? Is it Warwickshire?
Hang on, you're rugby fans and you don't know where rugby comes from.
We just win rugby. We don't know history.
You created
it.
Marcus Smith.
You created it, but we perfected it. That's the difference.
Damn straight, bro. 3 World Cups. Talk to me nice. Don't talk to me twice, buddy.
Hey, we've still won one, and Marcus Smith still lives rent-free in Rassie Erasmus's head. But that's
you can't talk to us with your 1 World Cup, bro.
Hang on.
Wait, no. You hang on. I was busy saying something important. Hold up,
brother. Right. Rugby.
Yes.
I'll give you a
rugby.
Background from Warwickshire, here in my county, about 30 minutes
Okay.
away. William
All right.
Ellis.
Oh yes.
And learn
Thanks,
history
brother.
when England coming and beat you next year.
Do
as well,
what?
and the next World Cup.
Okay, ready. Okay, away. We'll talk in France. But as I was saying about rugby, on a serious note.
Carry on, Sheppo. Sorry. Carry on.
Wow. So rugby got the transformation thing right, got the accessibility thing right, and then got a World Cup trophy. So it's like, crickets, guys, come on. Can't we like do some things? I feel like we tried that with Themba Bavuma, make him captain. We're like the Sia Khaleesi effect. It's gotta work. And you know what? A 1 game away from making the knockout stages. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's not bearing fruits. He doesn't look like a very unsuccessful captain. Just a very young captain with a very young team. And if we just take more cues from rugby, embrace transformation, embrace accessibility, cricket could go far, because the exclusivity thing, we've seen how much pain it's caused. And if the exclusivity is systematic, and if the exclusivity goes on even in like broadcasting and whatnot, then am I freezing? Oh no, I'm back. But yes, if the exclusivity continues everywhere, all I see are problems moving forward. So yeah.
Let me just wrap it up there. It's 1 o'clock in the morning by DJ. I can see him falling asleep already on the stream. So, guys, there's actually a lot for you. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Guys, Aaron, Werner, Tsepo, please, guys, make it more regular. I would love to have you more on these podcast shows. It makes it a lot more exciting and fun when there's more people on the stream. And I like the way we have different opinions and ideas. So, thanks a lot for coming on the show. To everybody out there, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Click that notification bell for all future videos. Click the notification bell. That's very important so that you can get updates. And also subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. The link is in the description. Thanks a lot, everybody. We'll see you guys again very, very soon. Actually, tomorrow for another daily show. Take care.